What do you want? What is it that you're searching for? If it is being the best version of you, being the best husband, father, most financially stacked, healthiest, fittest, stronger, the list goes on, sitting on the sofa is not getting you there. Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to the Battle Ready Show. I'm your host, Byron Ovenstone. Thank you for joining me yet again. Guys, the amount of times I get asked, how do I get motivation? I swear to God, this is starting to really test my patience because, dudes, it's not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. You can go onto YouTube right now, watch a video about a fucking lion speech or some shit and get all pumped up. And in 5 minutes after that, you're no longer pumped up. So it's not about motivation. Motivation is the fuel that gets the fire going. But in actual fact, to continue the process, you got to invest in some discipline. The fact that you're undisciplined is why you feel that you need motivation. Those of us that just commit to the process, those of us that just do the work, we're not motivated to do the shit we do every single day. I don't wake up pumped and excited to go to the gym every day, but I do it anyway because it's part of who I am. It's part of what I have to do to get the outcome that I'm searching for, the result that I'm looking for. That's not motivation. That's just discipline. That's consistency. That's hard work. It just takes as much discipline, consistency, and hard work to be a fat piece of shit that sits on the sofa slamming fucking donuts, pizzas, and milkshake after milkshake. That takes time too. That takes discipline too. You're committing to something there as well. I just choose to commit to something that moves me forward versus something that used to move me backwards. Byron 1.0 quite happily sitting on the sofa, watching Netflix or playing some kind of fucking video game, slamming pizza, slamming donuts, downing milkshakes, getting fatter, unhealthier, more miserable. It takes work. Both of those are a commitment to yourself. You're either committing to be a piece of shit and a fat fuck, or you're committing to be a better version of you and turn up a different version. So what do you want? What is it that you're searching for? If it is being the best version of you, being the best husband, father, most financially stacked, healthiest, fittest, stronger, the list goes on, sitting on the sofa is not getting you there. Sleeping in is not getting you there. When my alarm goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't go, whoopee, let's go. Fuck, no one does that shit. That's stupid. You wake up and you're like, fuck, okay, I'm going to have to dig a little deeper here. And I create a system that allows me every single day to cut the barriers, to cut the resistance. So before I even have my first thought, I pivot and my feet hit the floor and I stand up. Now I'm out of bed. And then my next barrier would typically be to either brush my teeth or get dressed. Well, if I lay my clothes out the night before, that's no longer a barrier. All I have to do now is I don't have to make a decision on what I'm wearing. It's already there. All I got to do is throw those clothes on, brush my teeth, go downstairs. The next barrier would typically be, I got to make my pre-workouts or I got to make my protein shake or whatever the case might be. It's not there anymore because I did it the night before. I set myself up for success the day before so that in the morning, what used to be barriers, what used to hold me back, what used to be the excuse I would use to say, oh no, I'm not ready for this. It's easier just to go back to bed. It's easier just to roll over and go to sleep. I removed all of those things. Now it's just a case of, okay, well, I'm in the gym, I'm here, I'm there, and I've ticked all those boxes because I set my morning up for success. If you're not doing that kind of thing, that's why you're searching for motivation. There is no motivation at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's dark, it's cold, and it's miserable. Everyone else in the world is sleeping, and now you're about to get up and do your shit. Unlikely. Motivation is not going to get you there. Discipline is going to get you there. It's about being so committed to who you want to become that you don't give in to that instant gratification of hitting the snooze button, rolling over and going to bed, or canceling your alarm, rolling over and going back to sleep. Of course, I would rather spend more time next to my wife in bed. But off the back of that, I know what happens. If I do that, I wake up later in the day, I've already stacked an L. So now the mental state is different. It's, fuck, I've missed a mark. I've not fulfilled a promise that I made to myself. That begins the spiral. And then what happens? You're slightly grumpy, you're slightly off, you're not in a good headspace because the demons that kept you in bed are now just a little bit louder, a little bit stronger, a little bit more aggressive. So what's stopping me from having a donut or a bagel for breakfast rather than my protein-rich breakfast that I typically would have? Nothing. So then you have a donut or a bagel and you stack another L, and then you stack another L. And before you know it, all of a sudden you've got a rap sheet of L's and you're fighting with your wife, fighting with your girlfriend. You're at war with your kids. You want to kick them down the fucking stairs or some stupid shit. And why? Because you stacked an L first thing in the morning, couldn't get the fuck out of bed? How stupid. So guys, it's not about motivation. Motivation is not going to get you where you want to go. It's the fuel that gets you started for sure. Like you wake up and you're like, oh man, you know what? I really want to get healthier. I really want to get fitter. I really want to get stronger. Cool. Put an actionable step in place and immediately hit that button and go. Because Byron 1.0, 2017 through 2018, he committed for like 18 months or so, give or take, to getting healthier, fitter, stronger, and ticking those boxes, but doing it in a bare minimum kind of way, which is why I never moved the needle in the right direction, which is why I got fatter, more unhealthier, and I spiraled even further. I was miserable. I was fat. I was in a loveless relationship. Literally hated the guy looking back in the mirror. And it wasn't until I really went all in and said, hey man, you know what? I'm tired of this narrative. I'm tired of this Groundhog Day, rinse, repeat formula that I've got going on here. I'm actually really going to commit to doing this shit. I'm going to stack some wins and I'm going to figure out what those wins are even going to look like first. Once you do that, now it's rinse, repeat, improve. Rinse, repeat, improve. And you keep playing that game versus the motivation. Like if you need someone to be on the phone with you every day going, get your ass up, get the fuck to the gym, rah, rah, rah. You're already on the back foot. You have to want it more. You have to want to be better more. You can't expect someone else to want your health, your well-being, your success, your wealth, and everything in between more than you do, because they're not going to. You have to fulfill that on your own. And that comes through building out a plan and executing accordingly. If you don't, what inevitably happens? Pretty simple stuff. We've all been there. A lot of us have ticked those boxes. You're angry, you're depressed, you're sad, you're miserable, you lack respect, you feel invisible, and the list goes on. All of those things I felt, all of those things I lived for the longest possible time. And it wasn't until I decided to get out of my own way, to stop justifying to myself that I didn't feel like doing something. Understand this, guys. Your feelings aren't a choice. You wake up in the morning, you may or may not feel like doing something. But beyond that, you decide whether to take action and you decide whether you're going to give in to those feelings or not. Those are decisions and those are actionable steps. So if you wake up and you don't feel like going to the gym, that's okay. But then decide that you're going to the gym anyway. If you decide to stay in bed, well, now you stacked an L. Good for you. And then that L is going to get bigger and harder to fight next time. Because tomorrow you wake up and you're like, well, fuck it. I didn't go to the gym yesterday. What does it matter if I don't go 2 days in a row? And before you know it, you haven't gone for 2 months. You're 10 pounds heavier, wondering what the fuck happened. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt many times over. Versus going, fuck my feelings. I don't really care about them. I have a choice and a decision to make right now. I can give in to my feelings, stay in bed, and remain unhappy, miserable, depressed, anxious, fat, etc. Or I can take action that I know needs to be taken in order to be the best version of me. You and I have the same choices every single day. You can decide to get up and be better, or you can decide to hit the brake and just not fucking do anything. Those are all choices you make. Your feelings don't matter. I don't know how many times I have to say this out loud. I say it on social media all the time because people constantly come to me, Byron, I just don't feel motivated. And I tell them, I don't give a fuck about your feelings. And then they get all butthurt. Byron, you're a dick. No, I'm not a dick. You're a dick because you keep giving into your fucking feelings and staying where the fuck you are now. And then justifying it to yourself and saying, oh, it's okay because I didn't feel like going to the gym this morning, so you didn't go. Fuck you. So what happens? Someone kicks in your front door and you're like, hey man, I don't feel like defending my family today, so can you come back tomorrow when I feel like it? The guy that kicked in your door doesn't give a single fuck about you or your family. He's there to do work. He's there to take some shit or harm your family. Your feelings at that point are fucking irrelevant. So imagine now you've got a track record of stacking L's every single goddamn day for the last 90 days or 180 days. You're a fat fuck. You're sitting on the sofa, someone kicks in your door and you're an easy target. And then something happens to your wife and your kids because you couldn't be fucked to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and be the best version of you. You couldn't be fucked to get out of your own way because you felt tired. or you felt like you needed a little bit more sleep. I feel tired and I feel like I need sleep every single day. But someone kicks in my fucking front door, they're going to have a battle on their hands. I know that for a fact. And this flip of a switch happened for me when my daughter was born. Up until she was born, I justified so much shit to myself. I gave myself so many outs. The minute I held Scarlett for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, I just grew the fuck up. Like, this thing that's sitting here in my arms requires me to be the best version of me, to let her have the best possible life that she can have. That was the minute that all bets were off. That was the minute that it was no longer about me. I don't give a fuck about my feelings. I don't give a fuck what I have to do today to be better tomorrow. Because if I'm better tomorrow, she lives a better life. I'm able to protect and provide for my wife, my son, and my daughter even better. Those of you that have kids, I don't understand how this is a hard concept for you to grasp. I don't understand how you can still say you don't have the motivation. The motivation is in that family fucking portrait you put up in your living room. There's all the motivation you need to be the best you. What are you looking externally for someone like me to scream at you and ask you to be better? What the fuck did you get married and have kids for if you were going to commit to being a piece of shit and just the bare minimum stuff? What was the point of that? Like, they deserve better. They deserve the best you. They deserve you being able to protect, provide, and fulfill the promises that you've made them. You do that by getting out of your own way, being a disciplined son of a bitch, and doing the shit you know you need to do regardless of your fucking feelings. Because your feelings don't matter. Like I said, someone kicks in your front door, they don't give a fuck about your feelings. They're there to do work. They're there to do harm. They're there to take your shit. And if you can't do anything about it, you're going to sit back and watch them ransack your place, fuck with your wife and your kids, and then you have to live with that. There was an episode that Leighton and I did ages ago where he said that there was some dude that had to rescue his kid off a building, and he somehow managed to grab him, but he didn't have the strength to pull him up, and he ended up having to drop his kid off a fucking edge of a building. That'll never be me. I'll never live that life. I'm very confident that I could row pretty much any motherfucker off the edge of a building and put them back on that roof. So if you're not that version, if you're not able to rip a fucking car door off or run a mile to save your family, you should probably take a big, hard look in the mirror and start asking yourself some pretty hard questions about who the fuck you are and why you've accepted such mediocrity for yourself and why you don't value your family to the extent that they deserve to be valued at. Because they look to you to protect and provide. They don't look to you for, oh, I hope Dad feels motivated today so that he can be the best version for me. They don't give a fuck about your motivation. So why do you? Why aren't they motivation enough? Why are you pandering to your feelings when you're a grown-ass man? Shit doesn't make sense to me. So I hope I've nipped this fucking motivation conversation in the butt, because I'm getting very tired of having it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's not motivation. It's not about feelings. It's about doing what the fuck you promised your wife when you had your marriage vows. It's about doing what the fuck you promised the first time you looked at your daughter or your son for the first time, or you held them for the first time. Because all of us had a very similar conversation. I doubt I'm the only person who looked at that little human and went, holy fuck, I have to grow up. This person lives because I'm able to protect and provide. It's as simple as that. Stop looking for external motivation. You don't need a coach to scream and shout. You need to look at that family portrait in your living room or in the fucking hallway, or wherever it is. Ours is on the fridge. We have one in the fucking living room. We have one in the hallway. They're everywhere. Everywhere I fucking look, I see them. That's what reminds me to do the shit I need to do every single day. Byron, how do you wake up every day? It's 3 a.m. Because I see that fucking picture every day, multiple times a day. That's why. Guys, please get out of your own way. Stop making the excuse of I'm not motivated. You're just fucking lazy and you're indisciplined. As soon as you stop being lazy and you stop being undisciplined and you build the man that you deserve or that they deserve to have, it's a wrap. You no longer need motivation. You go to the gym and you get the job done. You do the work because you know you need to. All of a sudden, when it comes to making those extra 5 calls a day to make more money for your family, it's not even a negotiation. It's not about, oh, I don't feel like being on the phone today. It doesn't matter. It's not about you anymore. The minute you got married, the minute you had children, it was no longer about you. It was about what you do for them, how you show up for them. If someone had a gun to your head and said, make 5 more calls today, otherwise I'll shoot you, you'd make those fucking 5 calls. Just like if someone had a gun to your wife's head, you'd make those fucking calls without having to be negotiated with or forced to or screamed and shouted at. You wouldn't need motivation then. Why do you need it when there's no one around? Get out of your own way. You're better than that. I hope you guys liked today's episode. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'll catch up with you next time.